Welcome back. You tuned into Inspired Afternoons, and this is our educational insight segment with me, Mariam Mia. And now we're speaking to Sister Amina Seder. Sister Amina is the founder of Tinker CreatorLab, and today we're discussing coding. So she's the founder of a play-based program that's implemented at schools in Johannesburg, and I'm sure through the COVID she was probably doing it online. And these programs basically are focused on coding, and that's my area of interest at the moment in terms of coding. So let's welcome Sister Amina to Educational Insights. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Amina, and welcome to Educational Insights.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, Mariam, for having me.
So tell me, Tinker CreatorLab, where did the whole concept of this come? And also, coding is the future because coding is going to train our youngsters for careers that they don't even know that exist there. But we need to create that mindset and change the neural pathways in terms of how we think now. Already we see very, very young kids. I see 2-year-olds that know how to navigate all the apps here and use the phone, and that's already their minds are wired in a different way as opposed to children 20 years ago. But the thing is, yes, we need to nurture this and enhance this and really open up those neural pathways to think in terms of coding, reading algorithms and things like this. And this is a very vital in terms of looking ahead in technology as well as education. So how did this whole concept of coding and creating a play-based program of coding come about, Sister Amina?
So I do hear you, and exactly as you just said now that the whole 4IR has changed. So Kathy N. Davidson, the professor of Duke University, said, by the time preschoolers enter the workforce, 65% of jobs that will be available today will not exist. So as you said, in 20 years now, the whole world is going to be changed. So we started in 2016, and we are a play-based program. So when you mention coding, our coding forms part of the STEAM curriculum. So STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So those concepts of coding and algorithms and maths, language, problem-solving things come into the play-based program. So as you said, how do you give the children the skills to survive in the 4IR? So you basically give them a play-based learning program, which is STEAM, which includes all the important concepts for coding, computational thinking, etc. So one of the main reasons for the play-based learning program is we want the children to, first of all, ask questions and to be curious. So we give them activities to help them code. So it wouldn't be what a 10 or 12-year-old would be doing coding. It's playful learning, but they're developing all the important steps to help them code later on. So we basically reprogramming their minds so they can be independent learners.
Excellent, because that's, for me, it's that inquiring, because the thing is, I find the education system is very prescriptive, and a lot of time we're just giving children information, and our testing is just regurgitating of the information in a written form. So what we just throw things at them and then ask them to accept it, and then we feel they're competent in terms of what they've written there, if they could recall or adequately write whatever was told them. And that way of learning anymore is going to be obsolete, because the thing is, it's going to be problem-based. So they will have to apply their mind to know that this is the problem. My phone is broken. I need to get inside here and I have to find ways to use it, or then even to repurpose it. So now this phone is no longer a phone, but I have to take it and repurpose it. So like you say, you have to initiate that curiosity. And if you look at it, it's nothing different, because from the age of crawling, a child is inquisitive and inherent for nature. So even babies, how they see the world is through their mouth. Everything is their mouth. And that's how they navigate themselves. And then they move forward and they're crawling. And it's all about curiosity. So in
Curiosity,
terms
yes.
of the mindset, it's already there. The children are curious by nature, but we used to stop them because of understanding dangers and that. But so we curtail it to an end that they stopped being curious and they just started being followers. So I love your program because that's what you're saying. For very young kids, you want
Yes,
them to inquire, you want them to ask, and you're presenting them probably with a
with
scenario and asking
yes,
them for
yes.
solutions. Is
So
that right?
exactly as you're saying, we're preparing them for an unknown future. So the activities lead to the scientific based, inquiry based learning, and we start them as young as 2. So we are an early childhood development learning program, and I think this is where it starts. It starts now. As you said, even from birth, it starts now. So our activities are all planned carefully. So where, as you said, the computational thinking comes in, the coding comes in, and it's all through playful learning, problem solving, critical thinking skills. So we use a range of scenarios. I just want to just quickly just show you the set of Lego. So Lego is quite popular in terms of coding and STEAM education. So this is 6 different colored Lego blocks. It's a hands-on tool for learning, and it allows the children to practice their memory, and we challenge them through playful learning skills. So through these 6 bricks, they learn maths, literacy, computational thinking, algorithms, problem solving through different activities and scenarios. So, as in coding, when you're looking at instructions, turn right or go up or go down. We have different scenarios with just these 6 blocks already reprogramming the children's minds.
Amina, fascinating because for somebody like myself, who is a child development specialist, and that, 6 blocks, and I'm already thinking about how much can you do. It's just that, somebody who's not in the education space will say, oh, 6 blocks, I can do that at home. But because I'm in the education space and I'm looking at you and saying, and just looking at how they coded, how you've put them there and that, and when you spoke, because that's another thing is, um, you still need the human element to give your mechanization the instructions. And also, we have to train our mind in terms of to be computational literate, besides math literate, because you have to give so instruction based, because like you say, if you have to direct something, you have to give an instruction to signal left, right, top,
Yeah, yeah,
bottom. I know
yes,
with algorithm mathematics, it's zeros, 1 and 0, open and close circuits and things like that. But that's from now we have to train our children in terms of the language is important, what they use, because you have to have a set of instructional language.
yes,
And
yes,
like you say, it's important. And in maths, position is also important. So you have that blocks there, and I'm already thinking, you know what, it's
yeah,
important that you number them and you see the sequence, because that's another thing what children need to learn and they struggle with, especially mathematics, is the sequencing. And now
yes.
more than ever, relationship and sequencing becomes very, very important, especially in a world of mechanization.
Yeah, I can try and zoom into my table. I'm not sure if you'll see it. Just, I mean, the thing is, there's like over, I think, 1 billion activities of actually what we actually do with these blocks. But just to give you an example of literacy, um, so if you take your index finger and you put your finger on either block and you ask the child to swap it around. Um, So already with this, you've already crossed the midline, which already is an important skill for reading and writing. And then
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. So it's just one little scenario there.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. And for me, that's what I find in terms of the stumbling block in early childhood development programs. Uh, 5-6 years ago, it was that acquiring of information. So because ECDs are now private institutions, so basically they're businesses. And how do you promote your business to say that I'll get your child to read? They'll be reading before they enter grade 1. They'll be writing before they get to grade 1, spelling, whatever. But the thing is, the focus was away from life skills, these kind of things, opening neural pathways. And hence, that's why I developed a program specifically for this, because um, mathematical literacy things, like you say, relationships and positioning, crossing the midline, and that those things were now discounted, put it to the fore,
Yes.
made to be obsolete. And that is why 1 in every 4 children require therapy by the time they reach foundation phase, because fundamentals and life skills were not done. Like you say, for me and you, it's just a swapping of things. But the thing is, dyslexia stems from that not crossing the midline,
Yeah.
and
So
having
yeah.
the brain integration
So
at 3 years old. If you don't optimize and ensure that enough brain integration exercises, both like you say, cognitive exercises, physical exercises, social relational exercises, where midline is crossing and forcing
yes,
yourself to think about it and integrating the hemispheres and causing the crossover, it's not going to help. And that is why, we think coding is something so advanced, but it's actually taking the inherent nature of a child
of
and
course.
knowing what to do in terms of simple activities. So I'm so proud that this program actually goes back to basics. Although it's revolutionary in terms of how you've conceptualized it,
Yes, yeah.
very industrial revolution. But
Yes.
if you look back, it's just back to basics. Lego, has been since I was a kid, since you were a kid, but that is the basics, the core building blocks.
And I mean, the thing is also with the STEAM education, and if you start them from now, between 2 to 6 years, it doesn't matter what they will become later on. So they could be a doctor, a small business owner, but if they've developed these skills, it's going to help them to actually survive in any environment, in any career that they actually do become.
And obviously, your program is graded. So basically, you say it starts from 2 up to when do you run the program is suitable for what age group?
We run them at schools 2 to 6, but when we started, we've had quite a demand for up to 10 to 12-year-olds. So we find the STEAM concept quite universal. I mean, with my current clients that we are going to at the homes, I have a grade R child and a grade 3 child, because the mom said the grade 3 child is also very interested in what the grade R is doing. So I think with the concept, as you said, back to basics, a lot of the kids have not had that hands-on experimental learning. So it's a new concept, They want to play with the challenges. They want to discover. They want to do the science experiments. So I feel it goes up right until 10 years, 10 years.
Okay. And now we're in level 2. So hopefully you back to one-in-one learning in terms
Yes.
of programming or classroom learning, because for the young kids, I know the Zoom and even video lessons, especially a program like this, I know because I've proven it that especially at this age, they require the physical interaction as well as to guide them in terms of just a stroke correction, or a little bit in terms of when you physical activity, breathing, or just guide their posture or something. They need that facilitation and intervention.
Yes, definitely. So yes, we are back one-on-one, but we've tweaked our program to fit new realities. So usually we work in a classroom with about 10 to 15 kids, and we run at the schools. So now with level 2 lockdown, we're actually doing private one-on-one sessions. So we take our tools and our playful learning materials to the client's home, and then we spend a full hour doing all sorts of different activities.
Oh, excellent. Mashallah. Yeah, I'm so pleased that there is a aid-on program, something like this, because it's really needed. And like you say, we need to prepare our children in terms of their cognition, in terms of their
Yes.
neural pathways, and that to actually think in this way, because that's the direction we're heading. But having said that, as you and I both concur, it's actually the basics. So they already wired that way. We just need activities that's going to support the way of thinking.
To support their learning, yeah. So, I mean, that was the part of the algorithms and computational thinking. As I said, there's so many activities that we actually do that I obviously can't discuss every single one with you in such a short time. But just an example of, if you look at literacy development, and if you look at a simple story like this, I mean, this is a story of a chicken, cockamoo. What we do differently would be we'd read the story and get the children acquainted with the characters, and then we would give them tinkering tools. So we would give them tinkering tools. Sometimes we also put in little, buzzers or LED lights, and they would actually design the cockamoo. So that's where your technology or your coding and your maths come in.
As well as your art. So you including
Your
your art.
art, yes, the STEAM, yes, the art. So just to extend the learning.
So yeah, I'm so excited and encouraged by this program because it speaks to my language. Maybe I'm old school, but it's not old school based. For me, it's basics. And I've seen over the years, education is evolving. And yes, we have to work in the direction, but at the same time, there's certain basics you can't go against the grain of development. So there's a certain
Yes.
way that we
It needs
develop.
to be taught
We,
and
yeah, so
developed.
we need development and resources to support the development
Yes.
and not to alter that. And I'm so pleased that although this is a revolutionary program, uh, it still focuses on developing the basics.
Yeah, on,
So
on hands-on learning.
absolutely. So I'm so pleased that we had this conversation, and I'm very encouraged. So inshallah, for those of you that would like to contact, I think Google Tinker Lab, Creator Lab, and you get Sister Amina's details. Jazakallah so much, Sister Amina, for joining us on Educational Insights, and inshallah, we chat to you in the future again.
Ameen. It was. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
And it was
Assalamu
lovely
alaikum.
speaking the same language, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what I guess most of my guests. Uh, we understand each other, especially those that are passionate about education
Okay.
in terms of development and how a child develops. We have mutual respect in terms of our love for education and developing our children to become responsible young adults, and also positive contributors to society in whichever way. And basically, for me, that's the essence of education. So it was definitely insightful and enlightening. And inshallah, we'll chat to you in the future.
Ameen. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And that is the wrap for today's program. I had a very, very insightful and enlightening 2 hours. I thank you for the privilege of your time and looking forward to being in your company once again tomorrow from 2 to 4. From me, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.